Hi.
Hey, we got censored.
Yeah.
Does that happen often?
um, it used to happen a lot with me and other people. Like they just like, okay, I want a session with you, and like we're about to work and make their life better. There's disconnects and tons of issues and stuff. It used to really piss me off and trigger me. Now I was just like, oh, I got their attention, awesome, you know?
Yep, I'm used to that type of thing too. Tech issues
Yeah.
at the moment where you don't want them. Okay, so yes, you were talking about the hand movement that gets people charged up, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And I was saying like one of the things I do is like when I focus on my forehead, and I sort of like start feeling like the energy and as if I'm looking for that part of you as well. I open up the ability to see more than normal people can. So they can like, oh yeah, my hands. But actually now you can actually see entities flying in your space. You can see people's like energy and auras and like other, let's say, spirit guides and their other bodies and different things like that. So for me it's like pretty amazing. But just like focusing on one part of you. And then we froze again.
Yes, we did.
Makes you wonder, huh?
Yeah. So the tingling of the third eye, you start to see, and that allows you to start to see. But are you seeing with your eyes closed or with your eyes open?
Eyes open, yeah, and
So you,
both.
okay.
Because then
So you,
actually, like, I can close my eyes, but it's kind of hard to explain. Or maybe, have you seen the movie like Daredevil?
yeah, I know what you're about to
It's
say. Yeah.
it's
Go
very
ahead.
similar.
Yeah. That's how I see it, like with my eyes closed. With my eyes open, I can only see I'll see silhouettes, but only if I'm really like charged.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it'll be tough. So, but you're able to see full color, eyes open,
Uh,
people walking around.
it depends. Like for example, like when I was practicing it, I would close my eyes and like I would sort of like feel the perception, like outlines and stuff. So like orientating in the house or like other environments, like I have like eyes closed, but I'm walking up the hill and I can actually like move towards people and like sort of like not bump into them. It for me it's like seeing this world fully visually is not as easy as like seeing the other worlds. Like, oh, I'm just like tapping in. So like when I close my eyes, it's not this place I'm seeing; it's the other places. Like I'm actually like I'm out. Like bye. So it's like I have to focus in to be here. Like okay, I'm like really grounding myself. And like then I have like oh more visuals. Yeah, I can see still with my eyes closed, somewhat, but not perfectly like out there.
And you're it's always turned on. Like you can close your eyes, and you could be on another planet at a drive-in movie or something.
Instantaneously, yes. Like no lag.
Are you making a choice of where to be at the moment, or are there other aspects of yourself traveling, and when you close your eyes, you're tuning into them?
Usually I just turn into the other aspects. Like same way when I'm getting out of bed, it's not like okay, today I'm gonna go to one of my 5,576 body and I'm gonna do this. No, it's more like I just open up myself to opportunities and let's say whichever body has something to show or teach me, I'm gonna be more attuned to this. So I close my eyes and boom, I'm out there. Oh look, it's another life and like what's important here. So it's more like like not making a decision, but I can. Like if I decide like okay, I'm gonna do this, I have full ability to do that, but more like I program myself like whenever there's someone in need, let's say from my bodies, I have the full ability to just connect and be there at the time.
That's amazing. That's so interesting because it brings up another question about the point of attention or the point of awareness. Like, is the fact that you're able to travel to another one of your aspects and take control of it, does that mean that you are the primary point of awareness for your beingness? Is that what that means? Because what happens? It's a bit of a mind-bending question because up until the point where you take hold of another body, that individual that is connected to you or that is you is going about their business, right? But
Yeah.
when you tune in and start taking over, uh, what happens to the autonomy? Was that always meant to be? Was it always meant to be that you were to take the hold of that body, or is it um, like I said, it's a bit of a mind-bending question. Was it always like written that you would be taking hold of that particular body, or are you usurping the free will of your 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 other aspects in order to go about your business?
Yeah, it's actually a very good question. From my experience, like it's me here and in other places, and I am experiencing everything simultaneously. It's just that at this moment, most of my awareness is here in this body. And if I leave, this body still has some sort of awareness and can still live on, but my main awareness goes into the other place. And it's not as much as like taking over as it's just like I'm connecting, and whatever I have in this life, all the memories, all the experiences, all the knowledge, I take it with myself because I'm aware of this. I leave this body here with some sort of awareness if I want to, and I go into the other body, and I was like, not like, oh yeah, I still am Akvila, and like, like I just got another body like of mine, and now I'm still Akvila. Like, no, it's not Akvila anymore. It's another aspect that has another name, and when I tune in, I will not be thinking about my problems, my family, or anything else from this world. I'm thinking about that place. I just got more aware of my body's experience over there, and I'm like, oh look, this is what it is. And I have full knowledge of everything that happened previously. I have all the memories of what the body did. And whenever I leave the point of view, like I close my eyes, I'm there. I open my eyes, I'm back here. And my consciousness and awareness just travels from one point of view to another, but I just have more sort of information of what happens, and it's more like not taking over, but like connect, copy, paste information, and get back. So like, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Cool. You ever you ever revisit the same body more than once?
A lot of times, yes. Um, with my movies, like it happens quite often where I don't even try it. I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna go to sleep, and I still wake up and I'm out of body. I'm like, oh look, I'm back in this body. And a lot of times, my body over there, like in whatever life it is, might have a mission, and let's say it has certain amount of skills and abilities, and with me coming over I can give more skill sets to it, and I'm just like assisting and giving it more resources. And so like some of the bodies will be like, hey, I need more help, I need this, and I'm the point of awareness where can I assist myself in other places, what can I learn, what can I do. And some of these bodies of like or other aspects of mine will be calling out for help or any other reasons, and I'll be there jumping up like automatically. So I just go to sleep, and like it happened to me like childhood where I was like, like even like a baby, and I like every few nights I kept coming back to the same old body until I resolved the issue there. So that was like
Oh, wow.
like okay, like that sort of made sense to me.
Here's another question. Do you think that, and this probably links into something I've experienced, but do you think that maybe bodies can be created to hold an awareness by like a negative force? So whenever you leave, it gets redirected somewhere, so that your will again gets usurped or just taken over.
Definitely. For example, you can get a body and let's say meet other souls or like copy of soul. For example, the dark side will just copy the soul or being, and now you're like, oh look, my family. You're not at the moment like realizing that it's a copy or a clone, and now you develop a connection, and it's not your real like a relative from like not someone you know. Like it's just like sort of fake one, but now you develop a relationship, and you like, oh yeah, like I'll see you next time. So you developed a connection, and now the dark forces, let's say you're gonna get out of body or like you're gonna shift consciousness, but now they set up everything in a way where you just made a deal that you're gonna meet up with this being, and you think it's your like friend or something, and you're actually going with the dark forces and like, hey, we got you in the body and we trapped you, yes. So you're kind of stuck there. So like that happens a lot.
Oh man, how do, how do you have so many traps? How do you avoid that? Is there a way to avoid it?
Yes, having the awareness of possibilities at the same time, we can go to the places where archons and the dark side doesn't even exist. Like we create our own galaxy, and let's say like programming, we make our own rules that okay, only this is allowed, and everything else Like you can even make it like invisible for everyone else. So you have your own realm, you have your own multiverse, you have all of these planets and different civilizations, and a lot of beings can live there. And there are no traps, no archons, no bad things. You're just like living on and having your experience until it becomes boring and you want a challenge, and then you get back to the other game.
Nightmare mode.
Yeah, pretty much.
um,
But
that,
like regarding these traps, I think like the biggest thing is um they're trying to catch us like when we're not expecting it, and like there are tons of things that they're trying to do where they can catch our attention, like focusing in on something we're passionate about. For example, for you it is music. So when you're out there in the multiverse, you can hear a music like, hey, where's this coming from? Like it sounds like so good, and you are naturally attracted to it because it's your thing, and they know that. So for us, it's like always like good to question it, and even like have the intention to, let's say, you can make a scanner and like see if it's real or not, if it's good or not. And for some beings, like you see them face to face and you can know if it's a good person or not. You
yeah.
can make the same kind of mechanism with if the source where that thing is coming from is good for you or not. And eventually, because we are the creators, we can make the rules. And for us, whatever we say is, that happens. And like they can try to make their system of how they're going to capture us, but we still can like, okay, this is going to be my cheat code. I'm going to check if it's real or not. Oh, it's not. Okay, I'm not going to go there. So like eventually we still have the like final rule. It's just good to be aware of it. And if people are not, then it's easier to catch us.
Mm, that's a great answer. Um, here's another aspect of it. On an everyday basis, now out there, you say we can. I mean, you said we can program and make the rules, right?
Yeah.
Over here, when we're doing that type of thing, we're doing it on a daily basis, basically. So you have to keep repeating it, because here we have to keep repeating it, like every day, every night, because as soon as you stop doing it, you start getting messed with. So is it the same thing out there? Do you have to keep repeating it, or what, or is it like once you get out, you make the rule, and that's how it is?
You see, over there, when we're out of body and we're out of the physical universe, there is no self, no ego, no mind. So there is no Aquila with a mind, or let's say some other person who thinks a lot and chats to themselves and just like, oh, I'm gonna do this. This is my music, this is my mood and stuff, and you just talk to yourself. It does not happen over there. There is no self. So there's nothing to target because there is no target. It's just point of awareness, point of view. And over here we are a person, and we stop being aware and conscious, and we go get into the thinking mechanism and so involved with this physical body and who we are. And of course we want to be free. We have to like repeat all those phrases like, yes, we are massive creators, but we're stuck with this. And this is filled with a lot of bullshit. A lot of like, oh, like I'm fucked up, this life is bad, there's a lot of France and there's a lot of bad things happening, one thing after another that's negative, and like, oh fuck, I am supposed to think positively. Okay, I'm good, I'm doing awesome, and you start like like shoving all those good phrases. You're like lying to yourself. You just like say tons of bad stuff, and you're just trying to overlay it with the good stuff, but eventually you don't believe yourself. you know. So I guess like
Nice.
over here, when people want to manifest something, one thing like trying to manifest something like something bigger than just working on yourself. Like, okay, I'm gonna work on myself feeling better. That's relatively easy because we can control ourselves. But then people have goals like, well, what if I want to create a tree, but other people don't want to? And then they start imagining the tree. They start like making agreements. There is a tree, and the thing is, over here we are still dependent on our people because like it's like collective creation and collective agreements. And if I say like, hey, I have a hand here, it's a hand, and like you're like, yes, you see a hand. But what if I say like, oh, look, it's my shoe? I'm seeing a shoe here. Do you? No, you don't. Everyone who's watching this, if they were watching this, they're not seeing a shoe here. So it's like everyone has to agree to that, or if they don't, then you have to live in a place where others' agreements will not impact you. And so, if you read about the Ho'oponopono, like that Hawaiian prayer technique, there was a person who went to the like asylum and like with a lot of crazy people, and he was doing that like technique on everyone else in there, and like he would constantly like, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you, and everyone there got better. At the same time, there are people who can actually like teleport from one place to another. I've never seen them, I don't know them, I've read about them, but that be basically the example of this person lives in a way where his agreements do not bend with this reality, and he creates his own stuff. And that would be the perfect example. But for us, like, good luck.
Mm,
Like, as long as we think and we have negative thinking and the surroundings impact us, that's where we fall down.
okay. Great or not so great. I love how like one question can set us off on like a whole path.
It's pretty easy, huh?
Okay, so here's some more here. I mean, I saw that video that you posted yesterday about the out of body tricks, and did make me think of yeah, it's true. You associate bed with sleep, so why not work in other places? Couple things: stretching and sun gazing. Do you do that type of thing too to help you remain in a I guess a positive charge or a more charged up? I feel like when I stretch and when I do the whole sun gazing, right after, if I look at my body through the third eye, I'll see the energy flows a lot more brilliantly, more powerfully. Is that the case with you?
I wish I could say yes, and that probably would make me look better and all this stuff, but I'm not doing it.
You
Um,
don't have to.
that's the thing, yeah. One thing is, like, I've practiced enough, and when I work my ass off for a whole year, like every day for hours and hours and hours, until I reach the place where, like, oh, it actually works. It's like like working out and like building the muscles. I'm not
Mm,
doing that right now, but if I did every single day for a whole year, my body would be way different. It's like building up a skill. Um, Sun gazing, I've read about other people who do that and have great wins. I used to do that quite a few years ago until I got so engaged with my own life and different things that I found different ways that work for me. But like, if I was to come back to those activities and do sun gazing, that would totally be better for me. Stretching, I do it daily pretty much. Like, I like to stretch; it feels good. But for me, it's like, like, oh, like I can just be in my normal state, and like, like, it was funny. I went to America, and like, okay, like I just like let my leash off. Like I was like very strict with myself, and then let's say in about 3 months, I had like 6 or 7 burgers, and then I told people about, like, hey, I was drinking out and stuff. And everyone's like, oh, you're bad and stuff, and I'm like, oh, okay, like, like, it's okay. They can judge me. I don't care. But at the same time, like, even that, like sort of like fucking myself over, so to speak. Like, like, I know it's bad and I'm still doing it, but it did not damage me to the point where I lost all of my abilities. It was more like, oh yeah, like I know what it is, and like, okay. So yeah, so I don't need sun gazing right now, but if I did, it would be way better.
and actually, something you said made me think of something else. When you do something that kind of like, okay, will bring your can bring your frequency down, whatever it is, do you feel it or see any setbacks in your practice and what you're doing, in your ability to get out of body, or the clarity in which you're experiencing your your experience?
Definitely. One of the things is I do not allow myself to watch movies. I don't know why, but I really get messed up if I watch movies. For example, people know that like watch anime and I work in it as like my hobby, like I'm translating and stuff. But with that, like video games, anime, like anything that's like not real, it's not messing me up. If I turn into a movie, it's as if like my consciousness can get into the world of movie, and all the people that are acting in there, I can hear their mind. Like I can access them, I can communicate to them, I can talk to them. It doesn't end just with a scene. The whole world that is created in the movie, I
That's a
can live there, and it doesn't end with the world. I can actually get out of body from that world and experience the whole system, and it's gonna be different. So for me, like watching a movie is a massive, like similar where if I go in streets and people have weird energy, I'm gonna feel it. Like I'm empathic. And in the movie world, it's way worse. People are fucked
wow.
up there. So if I watch a movie, I'm still getting it all. Like, and I cannot allow myself to watch movies because, for example, Rich was here like summertime, and we ended up watching X Files and Project Bluebeam and different kind of like shows, and then watched a movie or so. And it wasn't too much. Like, I think like what, like 20, 30 episodes or so. Watched like we did it for a few weeks. I fucked myself over. For like 5 weeks, I did not get out of body. It was pitch black when I closed my eyes. So I can't turn it off if I want to. I can really fuck myself over in that way. So that's just movies. With food, with diet, if I don't still like, if I don't practice my stuff, yes, it's gonna like lower down and like the abilities will get worser. For example, if I'm close to the meters, like in like those natural magnetic like radiation and stuff, it's gonna
Mhm.
fuck me over as well. So like I have to watch like what I eat, what I consume, how I'm doing my daily practice, and it's gonna get better. Like every single thing that I do good is gonna improve things, and every single thing I do that's not good for me is gonna make things worse. So like I always pay attention, try to keep balance, and like actually like like I let the leash loose for like 3 months, and it wasn't that bad. Like like hey, 6 burgers, that like whoa,
It's I'm very similar to you in that I'm very strict with stuff. So it's funny to hear that. 3 months, 6 burgers. You every single one of those burgers. I'm sure you were like, I'm writing this down. This is burger number one.
yeah, that's fucking horrible.
But that's really amazing. So the first thing that comes to mind, if I was able to do what you, if I had that inclination naturally, I would totally, whether it would scare me or not, I would definitely do that thing for Star Wars. I would have to. Did you ever explore that, like with any movies that you really really liked? And my second question, before you answer that, my
Sure.
second question to that, the follow up, you said that people are like are messed up in the movie world. Is that like a is are the people in the movie world like a facsimile or a copy of people in the real world versions? So those are my two questions.
Yeah, good. So exploring the worlds, well, like let's say I'm in a movie or like a TV show, yes, I can do that. I have not done it too much because like I don't want to get too engaged in it and too lost in it because it's easy for me to just like watch a movie and my consciousness goes there and I'm not coming back for hours. Like the movie's done, my eyes are open and I'm gone. Like bye humanity. Like so like I can really like get lost in that world and like I live 50 years and I come back like oh shit, how long have I been out? Like 5 hours. So
What?
like exactly. And I can live there for like like get engaged in that stuff and that's pretty scary for me because like it's triggering my stuff. Like seeing other people get into fights and all this stuff, like I really don't like the arguments and seeing people do not that good. So like like I take it personally, so to speak, like it as a soul who or like as a being who's like likes everyone doing good. That's actually not fun for me. Which like I'm avoiding that stuff because like older movies when it was like way before it got too corrupt, that was okay. Like I can handle that. But now with the recent Hollywood movies where they're trying to program people all the subliminal messages and different kind of stuff, that's way different because it's not just like people. And to answer your second question, some of those beings are channeled and they're not channeling normal people, they're channeling like demonic people. And it doesn't have to portray in the character, but you actually see who's channeling the information and who's doing the what. And so like it's not just people that I'm seeing other entities around them, I'm seeing like other kind of beings who are out there affecting everyone's feeling states and stuff, and I'm like, oh well, that's really not fun, so like
Wow.
it's pretty hardcore. Like especially like in the recent stuff that they're showing in the Hollywood and stuff, it's dark. It's very dark and intense.
Yeah, I completely avoid it as well. Just I hate the energy of it. I can't obviously I can't experience it on every single level simultaneously as you do, but just it just has this nasty vibe to it that just I don't even want any part of it. But, that must be pretty overwhelming to have to experience it on like all those levels all at the same time, like how, like and to be so grounded, like how do you remain so grounded with everything being like thrown at you? Well, I mean, you just said you avoid those things, but what are some other strategies you use to keep level?
There's this thing like what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. The first time I did past life regressions, it was freaking terrible. Like, Rich was like, like helping me to see how it works. And like in the childhood, I had an incident where like a dog bit me, and ever since then I was afraid of dogs. And I love them, I like them, I want to pet them, but I'm scared as can be. And that as well caused me to stutter. So like it doesn't portray right now in when I talk in English, but in Lithuanian for some reason I stutter quite a like not quite a bit, but I do stutter and like the words come unclear, and then like there's a lot of other issues that build up from that one. So like that was the very first thing that I addressed with the last like past life regression. and it was just like focusing on this life, this is when I was like or 7 or 8 years old, but I did not go in the previous lifetimes. And then the second time, which was like focusing and helping me to focus on my issues and address one of the things they say like regarding like, relationships, love, and all this stuff. I'm like okay, I just want to work on over my issues to make sure that I'm not as reactive, or I hold my case normally. I was freaking crying. Like the whole session, I was exploding with tears all over the place, and like I'm just like I cannot control myself because like let's say focusing on a past life where I lost my lover and when I saw him killed or saw him leave me, that really messed me over. And like the whole hour, like, we're just like really thinking like never again. Like that's freaking terrible. He doesn't want to help me because I'm way over the top, and like usually people don't have that kind of thing. When I'm there, I'm reliving it. It's not like, oh, look, yeah, I see myself getting left. No, no, no. I am being left right there at that moment, and I feel everything that I felt at that time. So I relived every single moment, and that's hardcore for me. So the first sessions I had was really breaking me down. Like it was like super hard to confront, but at the same time, getting over it, I found out like what is the biggest thing that triggers me. What's like the most like what's the biggest stuff that hurts me most now. And after understanding, okay, this is the worst possible thing that can happen. Everything else will not be as much. So now when I go out and I see people get killed and stuff, like I can still handle it and I have to confront. But there will be that like top notch place where like it's that for me like it's hard to confront. Everything else below that, oh, it's not that, so it's way better. you know, if that makes sense.
Oh, totally. It kind of reminds me. I was thinking. I think about this often, and it even kind of goes back to that whole movie experience. But I remember it sounds like you're in touch with like this because people say, and I don't want it to sound like uh, derogatory or anything. It's like you're in touch. You're always in touch with that inner child or the innocence, right? I remember it so clearly as a and it's not a matter of being like a child that you're less developed. I feel like you're more in touch with everything. You're more empathic. You're more because you're less, I guess, programmed and less um crushed down by this reality. So I remember feeling similar to that whenever I encountered, images of people getting hurt, or killed, or as a kid. It was terrifying and traumatizing. So I can only imagine what it must be to actually constantly relive that or have the access to that emotion. You know what I mean? That original emotion. I still remember it to this day, like how real it is, and how connected you are to um, those moments uh, that are not necessarily the most pleasant. Well, good on you for staying like so for staying so level, because it must be quite a challenge at times.
Yeah, sometimes like I used to wonder like is this a blessing or a curse? Because sometimes it's like it's way overwhelming, and I would have things that like trigger me. Let's say like with relationships, like that's probably like where I would probably have my most of my issues, like with overreacting, with being let's say more controlling person who wants like that like security, but maybe over the top because of the past life issues. So I was like working with myself with like having like okay, this is what are my rules for relationship, blah blah blah, and then I would be in a relationship and have things happen and they would trigger me. But every time it happened, I would recall every single time before that and relive every moment. So, if it's a good thing, I'm gonna have a blast. If it's a bad thing, I'm gonna like just go crazy over it. So like I'm really trying to like control myself in that stuff. But like I'm glad like with all the work I did over the years, like it's getting better in every single way. So good for me.
Keep going. It's interesting to hear because on one level you've got the connection to everything, and you can experience on those multi levels, but at the same time you're still dealing with 3D the 3D reality. So it's very, and I think it's great for people to know that you're dealing with all these. We're all dealing with these things at the same time in different ways, but it makes us all similar at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was we went from stretching to that, so that's
Well, that's
um,
quite a stretch.
yeah, I'm a guy. I like puns. I'm a pun guy. um, here's another question that I think would be interesting for people, and it's kind of linked to what you talked about yesterday, because you spoke about people doing OBEs at night when they're about to go to bed and that type of thing, and relying on that when you're tired. And you said when you're tired, that's not necessarily the best time, because it's not going to happen for you if you're just going to keep going in that way. Uh, I've had really good experience with the mornings afterwards, but at night I do notice that, and this is like something that's known, and I'm sure a lot of people know us, the veil is like really thin between like 2 and like 4 in the morning. First of all, why is that? What is it about that time that makes it so thin? And is that a good time to attempt out of body experiences, or is that a bad time because uh, entities that would want to stop you are more inclined to do so?
Yeah, I feel like with the timing, it's really a thing. A lot of people will naturally wake up, like, oh, waking up at 3 a.m. to go to the bathroom and stuff like that, like different kind of things. But people do naturally wake up from 2 to 4 to like usually uh, like 3 a.m. and 53 minutes, like different kind of thing like that. But like there are specific times when they get up. I was exploring a little bit like why is that? Why is this specific timing? And I found a few planets where like a lot of beings are actually hard to say when the dark forces took over the planet and like they won the big war, which is like why we're here and still entrapped, or at least most of the people, it was because we lost and stuff. And looking at the times where they were actually capturing a lot of other like beings out there, like trapping their souls, shoving them into like a container and having them experience things, there was a specific timing or like command, like like we're gonna shut them out, like launch them off at 3, and they're like commands in the background that the consciousness like becomes programmed with. So let's say whatever happens in the past life, wherever there's this being unconscious or knocked out and stuff, or you're experiencing the pain, everything is going on in the background. It's like a programming machine, and you can just like walk and step on a Lego or like hit your like little toe somewhere, and for a second like ow, like it hurts, and someone in the background say like like shut up, and from then on you're always quiet as can be, and like people shut up because that was a command. And every time they experience pain, instead of talking and expressing, they shut it all up. So there's a lot of commands like from past lives, and like with the humanity, a lot of like beings were captured, and there was like there were commands where like like at 3 a.m. like okay, we can open it up and we can like just keep on going, like different places where these archons actually let us out, and like on a count of 3, so like the boom, we wake up, oh, it's 3. So like naturally, that's one of the things. There are like other tons of cases where that can happen. Um, but then the next thing, whenever we have ability to get out of body, most of us will always be targeted, and it doesn't have to be necessarily everyone, but those beings really do not want us to get out. So it doesn't matter if it's 3 a.m. or any other time you're trying to get out. Whenever you are trying to get out, they're gonna target you because that you are a threat. If you get out, you are really a threat, and they don't want it to happen. So it doesn't matter of the time. It's just like the moment when you're about to get out or you're about to practice or do something important to help yourself, they're going to try to prevent that.
Jerks. Bunch of
Yeah.
jerks. Let's go do something else, man.
Pretty much.
They must have a lot of time on their hands.
A lot of that, and also a lot of them are enslaved. Like a lot of beings out there, like let's say they become entities, or they're like they have their own life, and here comes this bigger dog, and like okay, if you don't do what I say, I'm gonna kill you. And so a lot of them are actually forced to mess with us in order to survive. And that's one of the things, like finding out like, oh, it's easier for me to, let's say, forgive them and being able to deal, like, and whenever, let's say, I'm getting out of body and I open my eyes in their place and there's a lot of these beings surrounding me, and I'm like, oh, have you been fretting too? Poor baby, how can I help you? And I'm just like trying to be sympathetic and give them love, And of course they're looking creepy as hell. I'm like like it creeps me out, but at the same time I'm just like trying to give them love and like try to help them. And once they're done, they transform into the most beautiful beings, and they're willing to help and like give that to others. So it's like two-sided coin.
That is so interesting, and that brings some more questions to mind. I mean, you said firstly, there's okay. So you say that there's a bigger dog comes along and takes over and forces them to do its bidding. Why can't they do as we do, or we could possibly do, and don't they don't have do they not have that ability to create or manifest in the same way? Beings that are enslaved by larger or bigger dogs, are they disconnected in some way, and does that stop them from being able to stop that from happening?
Exactly. It's like the rules of the game. When you come over, okay, you're playing for the light side, you're gonna be fucked over, but you can have creativity. You're gonna play for the dark side, no creativity, but you can be in a ruling class and do really good. It's kind of like that. So like most of the dark forces, let's say they're like groups of reptilian, and not the whole race, but certain groups who will play
Mhm.
for that like side, and they will not have that creativity or imagination and visualization, but they will have billions of years of knowledge and information. They will have this massive IQ and ways to create technology and just like work with, let's say for us, like, oh, a spaceship, boom, we imagine it is there. They have to get the resources and build and spend their time, and now they have it there. But knowing how powerful we are, this is why we're being targeted. They want to stay on the dominant level. They want to make sure that they can play the game, which is why we're suppressed so that they could freely do their stuff and not have their toys destroyed.
My goodness. So it's such a huge topic.
It sure is.
They're okay, so they are restricted to, so whatever they want to, whenever they, I'm like formulating the question, whenever they want to impose their will or on reality, or um like you said, build a ship, they have to go by what's already on paper, what's already written, and they follow the instructions, go step by step and build it. And we can just think of, the stupidest thing imaginable, like a banana or something, a banana ship, and it'll appear like that. That's the difference, right?
Yeah,
Okay. So they did that. They have that ability because they gave it up in order to be on the dark side.
pretty much, yes.
Okay. But it doesn't mean they're disconnected completely from source. They're just, there's an aspect of them that's just not accessible.
Totally. It's like, they're role playing. And the role right now, like,
Right.
okay, I will not have creativity, but I will have this powerful role, powerful being. Once I'm done, that same being can get back there and be as creative and be fun and loving. For now, he's just playing that one little part and having fun with it. It's the
Well,
same
he's
way,
having
like,
fun, but
sorry?
we're not.
Exactly, yeah. It's like, kids take their, like, like little thing and, like, burn ants for fun. We don't know how conscious ants are and how they experience things, and they're going through the same shit like we are. Here comes this massive giant and fires the whole place up. Why did you do this, you horrible being? And kids like, haha, look how funny it is. We're experiencing the same thing, it's just like different level.
That's a good way to put it. That's actually a good way to put it. And so then you say, once they're free of that enslavement, they transform, right? So how do they transform? They physically they change, like they'll go from being reptilian to a light being. Do they die? Is this is on an etheric level?
It can be like in the physical level as well, but like it's like the consciousness is in the body and assumes the role, and you can play the role for as long as you like. But there will be a certain time when the conscious is like, oh, I'm done with this role, and you're done with the associating with that like part, and it's like logging out of the game. So you leave the physical body or any kind of like etheric body, astral body, doesn't matter what it is, and the conscious is like, okay, I'm done, and consciousness point of view moves out and goes playing something else. The body can either drop dead or be taken by the other being who's going to play in that role.
Okay, great. It's good that happens.
Yeah.
I'm just looking through my list here. It's a long list. um, here's actually a little bit of a twist. Um, Shared experience. So I've been. This is something that has also just fascinated me because I've experienced it myself. But for example, my brother and I, when we used to live in our, now we live on our own, but when we used to live at our parents' house many moons ago, uh, we had dreams of the same entity, and it was an entity of that have you ever, well, it's a scary movie. You know The Ring, the girl from The Ring?
Yeah.
Okay, well, it was an entity that took that shape. I don't know if it was exactly that being, but it was an entity that took that shape. So it was a girl in a white nightgown, long black hair, and she screamed a lot. That was the thing. So my dream would be, or my dreams, my experiences would be, she'd come in flying through the bedroom window and just like yelling and get in my face and just yell like a banshee type of thing. And but my brother's experiences were far deeper, where he'd wake up and she'd be beside his bed. He had a dream where he's in a bathtub and she's just like throwing up like this black slime onto him, into him. And he had a dream. So that was at our parents' place. And we only just recently, it was years that we were, living there. And then we just happened to talk about it one day and we realized that we had that shared dream of like the same being, where even one time I came out, and I'm pretty sure it was an out of body experience, where I'm looking into his bedroom and she's at the foot of his bed and she turns to me and again yells. So just recently he told me about a dream he had where he's in his new house and he looks out the window and she's standing out in the street. Now he's established that she's not allowed coming in, right? No bad beings are allowed coming in. So it was just interesting to me uh, how this being is able to interact with both of us, but follows him more. Is that something that is just attached to him that I am also experiencing when I'm in his vicinity? Is that what that shared experience is about?
There's a lot of cases, but for example, look at this way: like where you two live together in your parents' place, and in the parallel universe, that being can actually see you, walk in your house, and be
Yeah.
with you 24/7. And that being monitors you and look at your brother, and he will have certain motions triggering, or he will have a different case and problems from yours. So whatever he reacts to, she's like more satisfied with the result. And
Mhm.
she's living in the same house with you. Doesn't have to mean like 24/7, but she can definitely be in her normal world and at the same time connect with your world and see like, okay, here's two guys. What's gonna happen if I go with this guy? And she comes to you and yells at you and screams and like boom, you're done. Like okay, you wake up like, oh, what a creepy dream. And then she goes messes with your brother, and he's gonna have it way worse where he wakes up and she's still there. And for a moment, there can be like that awakening moment where you're not fully in the physical, and you can like be between this physical world, the astral, and the parallel world where she lives, and he's able
Right.
to see her. And so with him, because let's say he has different kind of abilities, different kind of awareness, because he knows of her, there's this kind of awareness like where he knows her. And oh, like she visits me. This is what kind of person she is. Like, oh, he noticed me. Finally, I can go and show up. So there's this kind of relationship with the people that develop with entities without knowing, where they're like bullies. And if you're gonna react, if they're gonna get something out of you, like, oh, I got this one. It's gonna be fun. Come on, boys. And like they can like go on and mess with people. And for example, for your brother, he might have different kind of cases and abilities and things like get triggered, and the way he reacts, the way he responds to it all, is what gets them going. And just like probably entity is like, hey, I found something I'm getting fun of, like and whatever. Whether she gets a reaction, where it's like being a little bit scared or stuff, where it's kind of emotion, she still likes being and doing that because he can see her. Like let's say other beings, like she's trying to scare them, and they're gonna like pitch black. They did not see her. They did not get scared, and she's like, he's the only guy that knows me. Finally have someone.
Well, it would pay to be nicer. But that, yeah, I'm gonna relay that to him. She seems pretty damaged, and it's actually interesting that you say that. She's trying to get attention, and she's trying to reach out, but at the same time, just she gets her kicks by trying to terrify people.
Yeah. One thing you can probably tell your brother is like a lot of times when I'm working with people and trying to help them, there's another entity causing all those problems. So I end up doing the session not for the person, but for the entity. Like I'm canceling the entity. And it's going like, okay, why are you acting like this? Oh, I just hate you. Like I hate everyone. Okay, why are you hating everyone? Well, I was beaten my whole life. Really, what happened? Tell me more. And that entity starts talking it up, and you find out the horrible story, and if you can offer a solution, look, I'm going to create a wonderful world for you. And you can just like imagine it, like create in your head. And you don't have to see it, know all the details, but you can just imagine a world where she would be safe and offer like, hey, I created a place for you where you can go and be with your loved ones, have that experience, and they will leave gladly. They've been suffering, and this is the only way they can get off on it. Sometimes they're monitored, sometimes they're controlled, sometimes they're threatened. If we can give them surroundings where they can like get away from this whole control, they will gladly leave and stop bothering us and actually be thankful for us and like start actually evolving and getting back to the normal place where this consciousness being and conscious being and actually doing stuff that's good.
That's very interesting, because I got that sense from that particular being that was it was a damaged person or a damaged being, and that needed some kind of help, or
Yeah.
that was the sense I got, that it was someone that really was hurt in some way, and was stuck in that way of expressing. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna try that out. We'll see where we can take that.
Yeah. And at the same time, if your bird doesn't do this, you can still do that with that entity. Yeah, you know how it looks like, you know who it is, so you can do the
Mhm.
whole process for him and help him with that like entity.
Cool. I will
Okay.
try it out. Thank you.
Sure.
Um, oh, here's
Another,
another.
I'm
Oh,
sorry,
sorry. Go ahead. Go
another
ahead.
thing regarding the sanity, if
Mhm.
for some reason she does not want to leave and like doesn't accept all the good stuff, look for the hierarchy. Look who's controlling her, who's above her by level, and try to go to the very top. Because if there's anyone pulling the strings and these beings are controlled and they're like loyal to the dark side, if you take over the head of like the pyramid, then they're done. Sorry, just like wanted to give another thing.
All good, because it brings me to another one of the questions or points. This week, I was actually experimenting with that explore the hierarchy. I see some weird things in my mind's eye, and I don't know whether it's like if I'm creating it or if it's actually what it is. So I'll lay it out as how I saw it, and then I guess you can tell me whether
All right.
it's reality or fabrication.
Sure.
Because I got a pretty wild imagination, but anyway. Um, so yeah, I was feeling that once again. I had a really good day where I was getting out of body and doing that type of thing. And before that actual experience, I was getting like that again, the tiredness push, right? But ever since we spoke about visiting the hierarchy and trying to remove it or tell it to go away, it's been really beneficial. So in that particular case, it was really really pushing hard and wouldn't lay off. So I was like, all right, let's go up. Let's keep going higher and higher and higher. So like the further up I went, the hierarchy, I would see like bigger and bigger beings, right? Uh, and the funny thing was is that they would point. I don't know if they do this to you, but like I'll see them in either the third eye or the mind's eye, and they'll point. They're like, I'm like, who's your boss? Who's your manager? Show me your manager. And they'll point. So like when they point, I'll just shift my attention, okay, to the next one, and then the next one shows up. So I went from like a mantis, little mantis, or rather large mantis, to enormous turtle being, and then enormous, even bigger, like reptilian type of thing. And I'm talking about towering, like skyscraper large,
Yeah.
and then above that, eventually. the way I was seeing it was I was like this tiny little, I would see like myself and then the being. So I would kind of get an idea of like size, right?
Yeah.
The size difference. And eventually I got to this point where it was like I'm this tiny little like dust particle, and like it's like Saturn, the giant, Saturn. And I went just out of curiosity. I was like, take me even higher, and I saw this is like, tell me if I'm wrong, you know. It was like a serpentine, like you ever see Dragon Ball Z?
Yeah.
Okay, it was like kind of like a dragon, like that, just enormous, like purple, blue, dark thing that was like furious. That I was like, that I had kind of like located it and told it to lay off. Now the thing to me is that, okay, maybe it was being projected to me as that, because once I said, all right, back off, I lifted immediately, and I got out of body. So I don't know. Is that do you think it's being projected to me as like specific things that I can understand, or is part of these images actually what they are?
Uh, I think it's like both. Like this is the reality. You're seeing it all, but at the same time, let's say when I'm getting out of body, I'm gonna work with people. I have to come in as clean state. Whatever I experience in my reality,
Mm.
it is gone. All of my beliefs are gone. Everything I understand is gone. Show me. Show me what's your problem. And I launch in with a clear perspective where none of my beliefs will affect it. And as I go on, I will experience everything as it is, and this is the way like I see things, and I come back and tell people like what happened. And I think like it's like very similar to you, where you ask like, okay, who's your boss, and they just point it, and you're open to everything that they're gonna give you, and you're just like open to all the possibilities, and now you can see what it is. And where it's portrayed to you, like they're just projecting that to you, a lot of beings will actually want to teach you. And even like the dark side, some of them are looking for more formidable enemies. So like, hey, I want someone equal, like like Goku wants to fight Vegeta and stuff. And they're like the guys like him, like, hey, I don't want anyone else because they're not gonna be as good. Like Krillin is not gonna fight Vegeta; it's gonna be like a bad match. So you have to like have formidable enemies. Like, and even the dark side will try to help us in some sort of way, where like they're gonna try to project us, like, hey, you need to understand this, and you realize like the size differences and stuff. Like, hey, okay, this is the reality. So, and that's one thing. But another thing, I just want to encourage you and go in a place where is your imagination, where you're creating it all, or where you're experiencing it. It does not matter, because eventually the end result is that thing lifted and you
Mm.
get out of body.
Exactly.
It's like
Yeah.
solving math problems. There are tons of ways how you can go with it. Lots of different ways. None of them are right and the only way.
Mm.
2 plus 2 equals 4, 1 plus 3 equals 4, and you can then keep on going with different ways, and the answer will be the same. Solutions will be different. And eventually, it does not matter how you do it, as long as the end result is the one. So even like if you call it imagination, oh, I just imagine it, you still experience that thing for what it is.
Yeah.
And eventually, out there in the multiverse is all that matters. Over here, we put labels and we call it imagination, creativity, this and this and this. But I believe that it's actually the dark side trying to put like labels on us to make us like, oh, I'm disencouraged. It's all my imagination. No, it's not.
Mm.
Shut the fuck up and like give yourself some kudos. Do some work. And people are discouraged just because someone called a label. It's not.
Yeah.
You have all the powers.
Limiting beliefs, right? Programming,
Exactly.
limiting beliefs. I'm
Yeah.
really, I always like knew that they existed. I knew that I operated under them, but you don't realize, or I never realized how deep it goes. How deep it goes, because reality, or the greater reality, is so much more flexible uh, than we think it is.
Yeah.
Because all our lives were spent, people tell us, rules, the rules of engagement, the rules of life, et cetera, et cetera. Actually, another interesting thing from the same session was, this is something that follows me around, and maybe this will help some people. But like every time I'll really need silence to focus in that way, some kind of construction will start. I swear, I swear. To even the point where, like, for 10 months I lived somewhere where there was like a giant it's hammering, like the sound of hammering. That thing is like what annoys me to no end. So the first place when I moved out where I lived, they were literally building something on the corner across from where I lived, and there was a giant hammer, like the size of a skyscraper, just pounding the ground every day for months and months. So this week, when again when focusing, now I'm in a quieter place, obviously. Out of nowhere, hammering just starts. I'm like, really? I can't believe this. So I tried it. I tried doing the hierarchy thing just to see if this was like something that was motivated by you know, an outside force, and it was. I was being pointed in the, again. You know, I would see the beings pointing like, nope, that guy, that guy, that guy. I get to the top, and it wasn't, as you know, a massive being. It was, you know, something that was like much more normal in size. Told to back off, and I swear, like as soon as that happened, the hammering stopped. There was also sawing going on, and it moved immediately. It moved like just so far away where like I couldn't hear it anymore. It's like, it's so weird how like the connection between like physical reality and that type of thing. Now I know I didn't imagine that, you know, but it's so weird to have a confirmation like that and still be like, really, really, did that really just happen? Or am I just like, is this a coincidence? Although, you know, I don't believe in coincidences. So has that ever happened to you where like physically something is happening, you know, in the moment, and you'll do that, and then it stops?
Yeah. Way more than you can imagine to me and other people. Like I used to like, okay, I'm gonna try to stream some video games or do this and that, and every time I was trying to make a video or stream, my neighbors start drilling. I turn off everything and I'm okay, I'm not gonna do this. I'm gonna just like do something else. Stops. Alright, I'm gonna make it starts. Like so like here, for example, like this apartment. I go in some other apartment, quiet. Like everyone's like, oh yeah, we have old people living here. Like it's gonna be quiet. It's gonna be like great. I'm gonna make a video. Starts drilling. I'm like, I go to America, country house, city is like further away, like quiet. Hey, I can make a video. Road construction at 5 fucking p.m. Out of nowhere. They just decided to come there and like, okay, fine. So that happens to me a lot, like with like that kind of thing. But not just like it doesn't have to be just that. Like I have a lot of people who have similar issues. Like, okay, finally they're getting better in their life and they have a lot of information to share and stuff. Everyone ignores the person. Finally, like like you start doing good. You want to connect with people. Everyone, parents don't answer, siblings don't answer, your loved ones don't answer. Like no one is paying attention to you. You turn everything off and like fuck you all. All of them come over and trying to talk to you. You try to say something, everyone ignores. So like there's a lot of those things that like keep happening to me and other people. And like you, I was like, okay, what's causing it all? What's causing all this drilling? Why am I always interrupted? And sure enough, I find beings who are actually projecting thoughts and like intentions to other beings. Like like a person can just sit on the couch, watch TV, and I'm gonna make a video, and that thing's like stop her, and he's gonna take a drill and fucking like drill the wall. Like and he gets the intention, and she's just gonna do it. Why not? So like there's a lot of those cases where they know what's gonna happen when we do good. They know what we're about to do because like they're monitoring us 24/7 inside out. They're gonna target us to stop us in every possible way, and they triggered us. They stopped us. You say it this time, so like next time we start doing it, like they have target again. You stop, quiet, all good. Like we stopping, good. Everyone calm down, like go do your stuff. You go back on your thing, like they target you. So if you're able to spot who it is who's causing it all, and you can take care of the leaders and stuff like that, you're good. Like they're not gonna mess with you, at least that specific group, but they know how powerful you are. So one group will be exchanged with the other, and there's probably always something going on.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. You um, I mean, I'm sure they monitor from different places. You got the astral, you got you know, like you said, the parallel worlds. Um, Obviously, there's the moon, right? Now, I don't know if you've seen this video online. There's a couple people that have it. One of them in particular on YouTube. It shows shows the moon with a. It's kind of like the refresh rate on a monitor. You see this line go up, and it kind of like. Have you seen that? with the moon? It's kind of like this weird
Yeah.
projection in front of it. What is that? Is that the are they projecting like some kind of I don't know what, like the image of the moon behind what's actually going on? Is it to block ships from view? Like what's going on with that?
Yeah. So one thing, like you mentioned, like blocking ships from view, but other thing, they might have bases, they might have a lot of movement there, they might have a lot of things going on. Oh shit! Make a cover screen. Like it's like a green screen. You know, like, they're gonna be like
Yeah.
behind the scenes working on their stuff, and like, oh look, the moon. Nah, it's like a holographic projection. But that's like one scenario. The other thing, like some people get out of body and they're gonna check the moon or if the Earth is flat and different kind of things. There are tons of realities, and you can one time tune in like to this is what the moon looks like, and next time you accidentally go to different reality, and every time the moon and different places will look different. So our experience, like, well, I don't know what the hell is going on because each time I go out there, it's different. So it's actually like quite a lot of work for some people to tune into specifically this reality and get out in like one straight line, and now you see the whole picture. But yeah, like there's a lot of people might like go and check out the moon and they will have different information which like it doesn't match, and everyone's like, hey, you're lying, no, you're lying, you're like, no, everyone experiences the truth from their own point of view. It's just like we might not have the same experience or the same reality, and that's another thing.
Hmm. Consensus reality. So I mean, right now we're in a consensus reality, right?
Yeah.
So if you and this actually comes back to shared experiences because when you get out, is it so that is it set up so that you go somewhere like you said you see one reality and someone else sees another reality? What if you want to both see the same reality? What if you have what if you want to if you have a group of people that want to experience the same reality when they get out of body or meet up outside of body? That has been something that has always fascinated me because I've read about shared dreaming and that type of thing.
Yeah.
So how is that? How can that be made possible?
It's like having similar beliefs and at the same time the agreement of everyone, okay, all of us will go on this straight line. And for example, like I have my own personal experience where I was in a group of like people who were in the Ubi bootcamp that Rich created, and there were like 20, 30 people, and for example all of us connect into one like seminar, like say let's say instead of Zoom we use Skype, or let's like that was called Uvu at the time, and a lot of people would sit in one place. Everyone has the ability to get out of body and practice things, and Rich would be the one giving the command. It's like playing D&D and you have the master and he's gonna guide the game. So Rich would be the one saying, okay, all of us are gonna visit the ship, and he has a scenario of what we're gonna do. Everyone else is like, okay, they close their eyes, they relax, and they go there. And he's gonna guide people, say like, okay, now go visit this room. Oh, let's go this one. And people will open their eyes, and most of the experience matches. Like, oh yeah, we waved to each other, we had a conversation. They were not doing anything in the physical. They were not talking. They were not sharing information. They were not like did not have notes. Everyone's in a different part of the world. But when they open their eyes and start talking, all of these experience matches. So that's one thing. But we also have the early diagnostics, where there were also a group of people who had the ability to get out of body, and they would get out, learn a lot of things, and come back and bring the information. And then eventually, with the dark forces, we're gonna take that information, make it a bit different, make it into Christianity, make it into other things, and from then on it evolves. But all of those beliefs, if you go back and like way earlier, they were still people who, like as a group, they would get out of body, learn together, do things together, come back, share the knowledge, see like, okay, our experience does matches, how is it possible? And so like different individuals hadn't talked about a thing, went out, had the same experience. So it's definitely a thing, totally possible.
What's cool is that I feel like well, I mean, I'm not 1,000 years old, but I feel like it's that type of thing is re-emerging, right? I mean, because like every, your circle is doing it, something I want to do. I find it interesting how those types of things never went away, and they're coming again, they're coming out again. So that's a good thing, positive
Yeah.
thing. Hopefully, if no one's messing too much with the
Sure.
information.
Yeah. I mean, like with the New Age movement, there's like trying to move like like certain ideas and intentions, but most people that are awake like can see through it and it's actually like, oh yeah, like like it's trust yourself and different stories. Like it's okay if it does not match with your reality. Like like I think like the biggest thumbs up I have is that like I'm being like very open to all the possibilities. Where like like people say like, oh, I experienced this and this and this, and a lot of people like tend to judge each other and call each other liars, or they don't agree with each other. For me, like everything is true because everyone experienced that from their own point of view, from their own reality. And accepting everything, I can go and check out things on my own. But also when I meet people out there, I can ask them questions and like get information like, hey, wow, like I like learned something new, and what you said confirmed what other people said here on Earth, and like that's like my way of learning.
Cool. So here's another idea that I heard about on YouTube this week from another really cool. I'm gonna shout it out because it's a really good YouTube page. If you want to ever check it out, Astral Boo Baby. I've been following that for years and years and years. Really, really good energy guy with great energy. Uh, just so genuine, you know. Another genuine soul, and he's in this particular episode, he's talking about the connection between 5G and beings that have spirit and beings that have soul. And he's saying that in our reality here, there are beings that are of the matrix. So they're constructed by the matrix, and they animate bodies that way. So they're spirit, but they're after beyond the matrix. For them, there's nothing. It's just they are part of that matrix, like Agent Smith or whatever. And then you have people with souls that can go beyond and travel and do that whole thing. Is that for you? Have you seen that type of thing?
Yeah, I experienced it like here, both in this world and in other places.
Okay.
And the way I understand it's more about like having consciousness and not having consciousness. Like
Yeah.
spirit and soul, both are good ways to put it. I'm also putting like a label of like consciousness, because some people can act like like an Angel Smith, be fully alive, have all those things, but when you look there, there's nothing in there. Like it's completely empty. And that being like like for example, like tuning in that person, there's no consciousness, there's nothing to connect, nothing responds. And in other places, I was like, okay, looks fully alive, acts in all those ways, but there is no beingness, no consciousness there. And like, I was like having ubis where I had to check if people are actually like real and stuff, because some of them, you can cut their arm and they might react to pain like, oh yeah, it hurts, but still no beingness. It's more like an AI or an NPC, like with organic body reacting to it, like a program works, but nothing there. And okay, blow your shit up, like let's see if anything gets out, like consciousness, nope, nothing there. So like it's like a organic body walks with the NPC program mind, and that works, but that's where it stops. Like so it does happen, like there are cases of these
Wow,
people.
that is frightening.
It sure is. Makes you wonder
Freaky.
like am I living in a world with like am I the only real person here? Kind of like
I
that.
had that thought too. Sometimes I've had that very thought. Right? But like, how is there some way of? I mean, beyond like certain behaviors, is there a certain way to? What is the feeling? Is when you feel into them empathically? I have that ability too, and I always wonder what those beings feel like, and if I'm correct. Um, is it just like, is there just like no, is there a look in the eye that you can see, or is it really just under the surface? There's no surface type of thing that you can use to tell uh, whether someone operates in that way or not?
For me, it's kind of like difficult to answer because most of my experiences do not fit the normal human norms. Like I'm not the normal type of being who's gonna like, yeah, if you do this, that's gonna what you're gonna find out. Like that was a normal person would tell you. Like my story is different, and it doesn't match with like most people. So the way I check, like like okay, it feels empty and stuff. Like how do I check? So I can like have my consciousness. Let's say part of me will be. I will like mock up a body of mine, like create another body of mine. It's going to be, let's say, astral or spiritual. So I have my physical body here, I see it, but I can also have, let's say, my astral bond with that. Like this is my second body. My second body will walk up to that person who I assume being an NPC, and I will poke it. Normal people are like, if I poke them in the back, their energy will pick it up and they respond to it. NPCs don't. Empty, nothing. So
Huh.
I can have my second body projecting feelings to them, intentions, and normal people will get a smile on their face or like feel different. Like I can like look people in the eye, and you can like actually like I am assuming that I am that person. So like right now I am Aquila, but let's say if you and I were sitting face to face for 15 minutes and I was looking you in the eyes and we were doing quiet mind, no thinking, nothing there, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna laugh or I'm gonna smile. And I have it inside myself. I don't say it, I don't express it, but I have the intention and I transfer it to you. And you will smile. Because I am you and you smile, or you are me and like we pick it up. Doesn't happen with NPCs. There's nothing there to pick that thing up. And that's the part of the consciousness that can like actually, hey, I felt you. Like, hey. And so it's another part of you, like you and I were a mirror of each other. We're just like same kind of consciousness, just assuming different points of view. And eventually we can connect on one kind of level, like up there. And with NPCs, with people who have no consciousness, there's no connection. You can like have all this stuff go. You're trying to like, hey, I'm you, I'm gonna connect to you. Program does not respond to that. And I think that's the biggest difference.
So wow, that opens up what a can of worms that opens up, because first of all, are they powering this matrix? Secondly, like, the fact that beings like that exist means that unless the programming of the place changes, they're going to be always operating for the best, out of the best interest of that system, right? So they're always going to be sowing division, or they're always going to be, there are always going to be beings that are going to support a system where we remain divided, right?
Yeah.
So, oh wow, that's crazy.
If we were to look at humanity like sheeps, and I don't like saying it, but if the humanity were like sheeps, the NPC, the program being would be one that, like, let's say Dark said, okay, we need violence, we need to mess up the city, we need to mess up people, we just had Corona, it would have worked. Now we're gonna work with like Black Lives Matter, we're gonna fuck up some black people and then have them respond. And they're gonna cause the incident. It's like problem, reaction, solution. They're gonna cause a problem. Reaction is like, oh my god, it's terrible. But the thing is, the reaction also does not necessarily have to be about recent issues or like recent things that happened. But let's say they have their agents, the NPCs, without anything in there, no consciousness, but they will be the first ones to react and to go at it. And hey, we have our program, they're gonna like work for us, and they have their little minions doing their commands, but the rest follows. Conscious
Okay.
beings do not have awareness and they follow the crowd. And like, oh, this being's going, like, what's going on? Like, everyone else follows, and it's easy to control people with a few like NPCs who actually are following the system. So in that way, yeah, it's pretty much easy to rule it.
So that's how they get the consent of the majority, by using a couple. So it might not be a majority of people that are of that construct, but the minority that is, will get others to follow. So
Exactly.
it's really about being aware, which is another thing entirely, right? To get people to be aware of themselves.
Yeah.
And this was the interesting thing about 5G that he mentioned, that these spirit, or these constructs of the matrix, the 5G technology will allow for them to have uh, greater access to. It's kind of like their fifth dimension, or their higher dimensions. um, how is that so? How is that so for a an NPC or whatever? How is the 5G AI construct going to be a reality, an extended reality for them?
It's more like a hive mind mechanism where, let's say, with 5G and other things, they can have a program, and all of those beings, I can pick up like radio signal, whoever is attuned to that, because all these NPCs will be playing different roles. and one is responsible for, let's say, rioting and causing the anger. One of is like, I'm gonna portray the love, and like in a bad way, I'm gonna fuck up people on the love level and what it is and what sex should be like and stuff. So we have NPCs in a lot of places in our life, their life, where like, okay, it's just normal thing, like why would you expect any agents or like anyone from the dark side here? But they have those. And so with 5G, it's more like connecting everyone on the same level, and all of them respond at the same time to the same way. And now it's like, like, hey, easier to control and manipulate people even more.
Here's the thing with that. If we got this, I feel is like a matter of, it is a matter of consent, but how is the majority able to decide for you and me whether we should be going into that paradigm? I don't want to be part of that paradigm, and I'm sure you don't, and I'm sure many people don't. Why is it allowed? Why, this is such a specific transgression against free will,
Yeah.
to force people into a specific paradigm. I might have signed a contract to be here, but I can revoke those things, and I don't, in this particular case, I don't want to be a part of that. So why, according to universal law, is that being allowed to transpire?
Well, one thing, most of the universal laws stopped working because the bad guys, let's say, hijacked the system. So now
Oh,
they have their own rules working, and like, hey, we just hacked the system when we wrote our own program. This is working awesome. That's one side. Another thing, they're working on our perception. And our perception, the way we perceive life, is the way we create it. And even though we do not agree to the 5G, like, hey, I'm not getting any chips. I do not want 5G in my life. I want to be clean. They are pushing mainstream media and other places, and people who are watching it, majority of population is still being controlled, not in a way where they're gonna agree to it, but they still perceive how good it is, or like in different ways, and the perception that they get is the way they believe. And there's this massive amount of creative beings who can manifest that future. So if they're portraying fear and how bad it is, all those people will attune to the present reality that was presented before them, will assuming this is the way it is and this is the only way. And now they're going to be part of the group who will create it. There's part of people like us, let's say, no, this is not the way it's happening, it's all control, we don't want that, our reality is different and we put it better. There's a group of people who are doing that, and they're creating this kind of like better reality. And both groups will experience life way differently.
mm.
Let's say the Earth where it's going right now, us, let's say, okay, no 5G, we won the war, we broke free, and now we finally have the planet for ourselves. All the dark side goes away, and we just like went to the reality where we won, and no 5G, no chips, no nothing. The other side that actually believed in it will experience reality different, where they actually have chips, where they have 5G, where they're going with the like singularity and different kind of things. So two different things.
I truly do feel like we're not headed there. We're headed towards something good. I really do feel that. And when my head tells me, when the mind says one thing, the gut is saying something else.
Exactly. Which is another thing, like our mind, our head is not our own. It's like an implant. The
Yeah.
personalities we have, also fake ones. Like most of them, like they can be just portrayed and we feel like it. Like, hey, all the cluster of entity can be personality and you feel it, you pick it up, you feel like, hey, it's me. Actually, the entities are also saying, hey, it's me. You know,
Mm. The antenna, right? You have an
yeah,
antenna.
exactly. So the way you perceive things, where actually things are gonna get ahead that way, feel that, believe that, and you're gonna be there. And like right now, this is the place in life where actually people who are awake, they're gonna win because they know the truth and their ability to see that they will be able to create the future for themselves where things are actually good. And that's where two groups will be going in different ways. And it's like having a strainer, and the good stuff will come out true and add their own stuff, and the filter, they didn't take the harsh stuff, and you're staying here,
That I really do. I believe that too. I feel that, and it's a positive, really positive note to end on. I have one more question actually
Sure.
on that note, because I see our time is ending. Um, do you feel that we're gonna heading in that positive direction? Do you feel a lot of people are saying? a lot of people that again I listen to are saying that it's going to be a reality where we will have more access to our ability to just our abilities in general, and b our ability to manifest and be what we're meant to be as you know the connection, basically the physical connection between uh, source and this solid reality. Do you think we're headed there, or is it going to be something that's going to evolve over many, 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 many years, or is it going to be something where it's like 10 years from now we'll be bilocating, and or maybe 20 years from now we'll be bilocating and doing those types of things?
I believe that it's already here and it already has happened. We're already on that new level. It's just that most people believe that things will change, like, oh, the planet will change. There will be something and we're gonna see it. We don't have to see it. We have to be aware of it. And
Mhm.
oh, I just became of my skills where I can actually access the past and like actually access my past lives and like have all information from there. If we are becoming aware of what we can do right now, you already are here. You already in that better reality where all this has happened. It's like it's another perception where most people expect something big to happen, where they're gonna see things escalate from the mainstream media and like all the disclosure and different kind of things happening. Yay! Finally, no, that's already happened. Like it's out there. It's just like we need to become more aware of it. But again, that's just my perception of it. But I'm seeing it. Like I believe it, and I'm like generally feeling it.
Me too.
People are more awake. People are like showing up, and like I used to like where are all those people who are awake? Like I'm like here's me, here's Rich, here's someone else. Like okay, we know what's going on, but the world is not going there. And then I changed like no, like humanity's awake. And all of a sudden, we have like over a million people watching an interview with David Icke and stuff like that. I'm like, hey,
Yeah,
here they are. Here they are. Like, so for me, I'm putting my attention there, I'm putting my focus, my awareness, and that's where I am, and that's what it's all becoming.
I love it. Yeah,
So,
and that's like an affirmation I say every day. The same thing. We're headed there. This is what I want, and I think if we do that and we stick to that gut feeling, we're gonna get there. Well, I mean, we're already there.
yeah. And that's another thing, like, the consciousness can see the end result before we are there. Like, like, oh yeah, I want a house. Well, the consciousness already saw the house and already you're living there. It's just that right now we have to build ourselves up and like do get some money, buy this, fill out some documents, blah blah blah, all those steps. But the consciousness experienced the end result right away. So if we're like, like, okay, like the humanity is awake, all these things are happening or already had happened, the consciousness already experienced it all. It's just like your awareness is still stuck at that point, like the beginning of everything. So if you can like move your awareness into I'm aware of everything in the future, like where I want to be. So like all of these like parts that we want to be, like I want to be a better singer, I want to be better this, and we just choose what kind of personality we want, what kind of life we want. If you see the end result already, and your consciousness does, you can like try being that every day. Practice what you want to have in the future right now, and you're gonna manifest it. So that's the way I am like trying to create my reality, and I'm doing it, and it's like succeeding, and I'm loving it. Like I'm not living in fear. I'm not worrying. Like this coronavirus was one of the best things that's happened in my life. I'm succeeding. I'm having fun, and like not to say like like hey, I'm lucky and I'm arrogant and stuff like that, but I'm creating my reality where everything's better, and I'm enjoying the hell out of it.
Likewise.
That's
Great
good.
note to end on.
Yeah, totally.
Thank you very much. Great session.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure talking to you. So I was like
Like,
talking with Rich regarding like that app where you can like actually reveal entities and stuff, and I feel like when he's in Lithuania, like he's totally up for connecting with you and like learning that thing, because like he's really interested in like having so many people who come with us with the entity issues, and like they're always sending our like their photos and stuff. It's like like an easy way to see way more than that, and I feel like bringing that to awareness of other people would be a great way too. So you have lots of amazing tools, and like we're willing to learn from you, and also like like you're an amazing person, and I just like want to thank you for all the inspiration and all that you do for us as well.
likewise, likewise. I feel the same way, and I'm very happy to help. So anytime, please don't be shy. I'm very happy to help. If you've got any like really really emergency people that need anything as well, send me the pictures too. I can teach you how to do it. I can help you out with the images as well. You let me know. Well, we can book a time whenever is most convenient for you,
Yeah.
and
All right.
we'll do it.
Okay.
It's really easy. It's not like a crazy technical thing to do. I'll show you like where to look. It's really, and basically every picture works pretty much the same way.
Awesome. That's good to know. So, hey, like looking forward to seeing you next time. I think like we can still like talk and stuff. I really enjoy like talking to you and like seeing what you experience. Like it's so good knowing that there's more people with disabilities and like it's just really awesome. Like it reaffirms what I'm going through and like like you're just like an inspiration to me. So like really appreciate
Likewise, believe me, like from the first time I saw your work, I was like, oh my God, someone I can relate to. Thank you.
That's
Just
good.
thank you. No, likewise. Thank you so much. Your work is amazing. You're amazing. Thank you. Like, and it's really, I appreciate being able to speak frankly in this way. And like, yeah, I just love hearing about your story. It's so interesting. Your outlook, your perspective. It's so interesting. And because I know it's true. I know it. I've seen it. So yeah, same. It verifies that I am indeed experiencing what I think I am.